Went old school for that intro.
Yeah, we did.
Taffy's intros, they were just so bombastic.
He's trying to get us canceled.
Like they're cancellation level bombastic this time. Maybe we'll do them for that'll be a good locals teaser. Like Taffy's videos are
I don't know if
nuts,
we should play them for locals, man.
They're pretty bad. I don't know. I think we could do it for the locals audience. We'll do it for the locals audience. But a little update before we get into the topic at hand. Well, just to touch on the topic real quick. I want to handle this properly tonight because I know the thumbnail seems like we're gonna like go after Gavin or something. That's not what I want to do. I want to go through those videos. I cut a few clips up, and I want to really get
for the record. Anthony is talking about a recent interview between Gavin Ashenden and Scott Hahn.
Well,
for those of you who are not online all the time.
Well, no, the thumbnail and title I figured handled that. So that's what we're going to go through tonight. But I do want to give you guys a little update on the so yesterday I was at work and we had to put a fundraiser together for a guy I work with who has been out of work for 6 weeks. And we passed it around the company and we just like all the guys at the company just threw a little something to the guy because he's been out of work for 6 weeks. He had an injury outside of work and he hasn't been able to work for 6 weeks. And while I was making it, something just kind of hit me about something that's been weighing on my heart for a very long time that my brother is going through. And my brother in the summer of 2024, so this is a year plus, there was a really bad, like 100-year flood that hit Long Island. I was in Pennsylvania when it happened. And when I came home, my brother's house was completely flooded, the whole basement and like 6 inches of the first floor. And it destroyed his oil burner. He
boiler for those.
His boiler, yeah. Like his oil burner, a boiler, furnace. And he had a company come in and look at it, and they were like, "Oh, we think we can fix it, and give us $3,000 and we'll fix it." He gave the guys $3,000, and the thing lasted for 2 weeks, and it burst again.
Ugh.
And now this was in November. It happened in August, right as the winter was coming. My brother's furnace went out, and he had space heaters in every single bedroom, and he has no hot water. So his wife and kids would have to go to my mom's house to shower, or when he could turn the hot water heater on, but it would pour water into the basement. So he had to be home when it happened, and he had to have a pump running as he did it. So when he comes home from work, he'll turn it on and he'll leave the pump running and he'll take a quick shower and then come down. But it's been a legit nightmare for him for a year. My brother, this is the brother that I've told the story on air. Me and him together got our girlfriends pregnant and I was 21 and he was 19. Had to go and tell my parents together that we got our girlfriends pregnant. My wife now, like this isn't like, right. For anybody that doesn't know the story. This is now my wife, and this is my oldest son we're talking about. This was 19 years ago. But yeah, like it just happened. It was just like a coincidence. Like we both got our girlfriends pregnant like the same week, and we had to go to my parents together and tell my parents that we were pregnant. We were pregnant. Our girlfriends were pregnant. Now my dad was furious. He's like, "What did you two plan this?" Like he flipped out. He went nuts. "Would you two assholes plan this?" is what he said. But the thing is, my parents knew Nicole and I were going to get married, and they were very worried about Mikey. And like from that moment, like it's always been like this kind of like thing where I don't know. My brother's had it really hard, and like everybody seemed to be like excited for me and my wife, and everybody was kind of like worried about him, This is the same brother that fell into heroin addiction. He's 18 months younger than me. I mean, he's like my Irish twin. And like him and I were best friends growing up, and then he falls into heroin addiction. Every day of my life for like 5 years, I was waiting for a phone call to tell me that my brother died. 5 years ago, my brother got clean. But that mess he made in those 5 years.
Was this the same? Our last episode, you talked about how your family almost ostracized someone, but your mom,
my mom,
the door open. This is him, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So like this period where my brother was addicted to heroin, all of us, like all the men in the family, especially, were like, "Cut him off! Stop! You're enabling him." And my mom left this door open to him, and 5 years ago, he gets himself clean. He's been clean for 5 years. He hasn't had a single slip up. This kid has been killing himself to get his life in order. While he was using, his house fell into foreclosure. He accrued a ton of debt. He wound up, after he gets clean, he goes into bankruptcy, but is able to save his home and put all his credit cards, everything under. He's got to come up with like $6,000 a month to pay off this bankruptcy with his mortgage. Then he's got all these other things, but he's killing himself at work 6 days a week. Years now. And then last year, this stupid furnace thing happens. Like 3 months later, his car dies on him. So now for the past year, my brother's been carpooling to work with me, or my brother Dom, or my brother Joey, or my brother Frankie. He's been catching a ride into work every day. He doesn't like he just is underwater, like feels like he's drowning. And I've never wanted to use this platform for like fundraisers and things like that. And Rob has known about this situation for a very long time. I've been talking to Rob about this. And when I put this fundraiser together for the guy at work, I just kind of said to Rob, I was like, Rob, like the winter is here. The winter's here. Like I woke up and went to work the other morning, and it was 32 degrees in New York. And I'm like, this has space heaters in every room in his house. Like that is the like leading cause of home fires. Yeah. He doesn't have hot water in his home for his kids to take a freaking bath at the end of the day. And I just finally just said to Rob, I said, I think I'm going to put a fundraiser together for my brother. I put a fundraiser together, and I kind of just guessed because I had to do my burner went, and I did a gas conversion. It cost $10,000. So I put a fundraiser together for, and he has 3 little kids also, all under the age of 12. Like he's got little kids. So I had to do my burner a couple of years back, and it was $10,000. So I put the fundraiser up, and I just put $10,000 in. And I did this yesterday afternoon, and I'm like, okay, maybe this will take a week or two, and we'll get there. You know, we'll mention it on the show. I went to bed last night, and it hit 10,000 while I went to bed last night. So I woke up this morning, and it's actually at 11 now.
11:02.
Yeah, my brother still has no idea I'm doing this, and he doesn't watch the show, so I'm not worried about him seeing this. So he worked late tonight, and I had a guy, the HVAC guy, come and meet me at his house. And I knocked on his door. His wife answers the door, and I was just like, oh, I just had my friend coming to look at the burner real quick. He might, to see if he could fix it or something. The estimate's for $18,000.
Man, that's
$18,000. So I might have to raise the number on the fundraiser. But I'm also getting other estimates because the company I picked was a big company, and big companies throw big numbers at you. So I called 3 other places. I'm getting 3 other estimates on this. I do have my uncle. I work for my uncle. I know if like we're short $1,000 or $2,000 or something, I know if I go to him and tell him, he'll foot the rest of it. But if you guys haven't had a chance, no, this is not for the boat. I would never, ever, 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 ever ask for money for my boat repair. I promise.
You already got that fixed, by the way.
I would never, ever do that. The thing is, I was thinking like, all right, we got $11,000. If it comes to 9, what I'll do is I'll fill the oil tank for him, right? Like we'll fill it with oil, and maybe we could put something towards a car.
Because I don't know what heating oil cost for you guys is there, but the tank here is like $700-800 right now.
Yeah, to fill the tank. It's nuts. Yeah. It's like $3 a gallon. It's a 300-gallon tank. It's like $900. So I figured if there was anything left over, we would just fill the tank with that. Or if there's more than that, we could just sell the boat for. If it came to that, I would do that for him. I want to help him. Like this is not just some. We're all worried about like what we could donate to today because you don't know what the church is giving money to. Like when I tell you I cannot wait to film telling him that we're getting this done for him. My brother is going to weep with joy because this has been.
You guys have never seen in a body weep.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's a lot. So Rob's gonna throw the link up. I'm probably about 6,000 down. Even though it says I hit my goal, we're a ways off from
Right
it.
now we're at 11,000. We'll just say right now the goal is 18,000. So
We'll just say it's that. If it's a little short, I'll go to my uncle and I'll ask him to cover it. If there's extra, if I wind up getting a second price and they tell me 15 or something, whatever's left is going to go towards like a beater car for him to get to wear. Like, I am not keeping $1 of this. I would never ever ask you guys for money and then scam it somehow. Like, I do not play games with money. I will never face God for stealing ever. Like, you could ask Rob how I am with money. Like, I do not ever play games with that stuff. It's like, if something, like if Rob has an expense that I didn't have, I'm like, dude, we'll split it. Like, we always are honest with one another with money. I don't ask you guys for something that is out of line ever. And my brother means the world to me, and I want to really try and help this kid. So if you guys can find it in your hearts to give a little bit, I would appreciate it. And I will give you guys an update and I will film it. So now to the subject at hand.
And the link is in both the live chat and the description for anyone.
To the subject at hand. If you guys come on pilgrimage, you'll be able to see a body weep in person. I was shocked by the price. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I really was. When the guy told me 18, I was like, oh my goodness, like, oh man, it felt like getting kicked in the stomach. And because I was like hoping the guy would tell me that it was within that range. And my brother, I was gonna be able to like talk to my brother today about it. And I was like so sad when that happened. So we're gonna see what we could do. Like I said, if I don't hit the goal, there is somewhere I can go where I can ask somebody to kick in the rest. I'll throw in money myself. Whatever we have to do, we're gonna get it done. But to everybody that donated, like, there are some people that donated $1,000. More than one person donated $1,000, and they did it anonymously. Like, when you talk about building treasure in heaven, I'm there. First off, every one of you, like, I want you to put your names in it, especially if you watch the show or you know me on Twitter. Like, I want you to put your names in it because I want to thank you. Like, but some of those people that did something like that, I was just like, holy cow, man! For somebody to throw 1,000 in and just do it anonymously, it's really unbelievable. So thank you all to anybody that did donate to this. It's really
they're going to be buying and installing a new boiler,
brand new boiler, and new oil tank. It's oil tanks leaking, like the whole thing is destroyed.
Well, this is just the HVAC stuff, let alone damage to the rest of the house.
Well, that's the thing. His entire basement was flooded, and the first floor, like 4 inches, was flooded. So people were saying, like, why can't the family come together? Like, we had to. The insurance covered none of it because it was a natural disaster. They didn't cover $1.
Yeah.
New York was supposed to put, like, FEMA was going to put a program together for New Yorkers that were affected by this. Kathy Hochul canceled the program. There was no way for him to, like, apply for anything, nothing. His neighbor had $140,000 in damage done to his house. His neighbor literally gutted his entire house and redid it. We had to do everything we could by hand, and we had to do the work ourselves and stuff. Like, we believe me, we all had. My whole family, none of my family's wealthy, except like my uncle who I work for. But none of my siblings, like, we all work construction. We're all barely making ends meet. We all do the best we can to get by in this life. It's like, my parents aren't wealthy. My dad's on a fixed income. He's a retired construction worker. So we have done everything we can. I just asked for help, which I tried to really not do. And I try not to ever abuse this platform that God has given me. So, all right. I apologize for this drawn out family story.
In the last 5 minutes, they've just donated $1,000.
Guys, thank you so much, man. I appreciate all of you. Okay, so now to the topic at hand. I consider Gavin a friend. And the other night he's been on our show twice.
Mm-hmm.
We played a clip of him the other night, and I might have been like a little callous about the way I played it. And there's always people that like watch things and go and rat you out and stuff. But like, I was just kind of using him to kind of show like what the older generation is like, how they're reacting to this whole thing, this whole question of anti-Semitism and stuff. So now Gavin had Scott Hahn on his show, and it was an amazing episode. So if you guys haven't seen it, you should go watch it. But at about the 50-minute mark, it felt like Gavin was shoehorning in the topic of anti-Semitism. And I thought Scott Hahn handled it masterfully. But it was very awkward the way Gavin pressed the issue. And I wanted to go through the clips with you guys because it just seemed very off to me, very awkward. And even the way Scott replies to him, it's almost like Gavin goes to bring something up and Scott doesn't actually engage what Gavin's saying. And Scott really brings it to what the actual issue is and what we've been talking about on this show for a very long time. And when I saw the title of that show, Gavin Ashenden, when I saw the title of that show, I was like very intrigued because I'm saying I have been watching and reading Scott Hahn for 20 years. And I learned all of my theology about the older brother from Scott Hahn. And I'm saying I was really curious to see where he went with this because I couldn't imagine Scott just going in and ranting about anti-Semitism. Like I just couldn't, because he's the one who kind of prepared me for the things that we're seeing right now. So I think we should just start in with clip 1 and you guys will kind of understand where I'm going with this.
First clip.
Let's go. Let's play it. And we might be pausing from here from time to time because this is pretty heavy topics and some of the clips are 4 minutes long. So
the first clip is 7 seconds.
Oh, is that the wrong clip then?
I don't know.
Through properly. How long is the second clip?
3:20.
Because we're having a problem with
we usually do the clips through Twitter, but that's not working right now, so we're having to do it a little bit.
A minute and 19.
Oh, you know what? It was
playing
weird. Yeah.
Okay, good. Then okay. So yeah, so usually like Twitter, the way they change their DMs is screwing up our whole show chat. So we have like a show chat on Twitter and it's not working now. So we're going to do it through Telegram. So we got to start from there. So, all right. Make sure you rewind it.
I did. I just got to make sure the volume's up.
But not rejected, if one might say it. It was going to graft in. Now, in the anti-Semitism, it's always seemed to me is a phenomenon of demonic toxicity. I suppose that might be the best way of describing the way I see it. And again, I don't want to put words or concepts into your mouth, but it seems to me we're struggling with, if you like, issues of demonic hatred and theological frameworks that could and should act as antidotes to them. And I wondered if you could offer either anything that you see in St. Paul or the Magisterium as a form of theological antidote to this idea that we can so begin to separate ourselves from the Jews that we're entitled to despise them or accuse them of things. I was one of your a great American comedian said that you know nothing good ever comes from putting two words in the English language together, and it's the words "thee" and Jews. Dave Chantel, that's what it was.
Okay. I was
going to say we got to stop that. We got to stop there.
Okay, so what was really interesting about this was we did the show the day before where we discussed Scott Hahn at Steubenville, and then we played the Gavin clip. And the next day, Gavin had an interview with Scott Hahn. And Scott Hahn doesn't just do interviews on the fly, so I'm pretty sure they had the
ask us how he knows that.
Oh yes, no, but I know people that know Scott Hahn, and it's like he's booked out for a while. So, but I do think Gavin saw our show the night before and decided to shoehorn this topic in because of it. And the nervousness with which he's asking this question, and the Dave Chantel instead of Dave Chappelle, is awkward, right? Like you can see he's very nervous as he's talking about this. Now you know Gavin has never seen Dave Chappelle. Where Gavin is getting that quote from is the Rod Dreher article.
Yes, because Gavin, you would be so terribly offended if you watched Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle, yeah. So Gavin is getting that. He's getting that from the Rod Dreher article, which is what we discussed on our show the night before. And what we were trying to do in that show is just like the generational divide on this issue that they don't grasp the severity of it. So I wanted to play that clip just to show how nervous Gavin is even setting this up. But let's continue. Let's see where this one ends.
We got 10 seconds.
And then the next one is actually Scott's response to it. Catholic Jamie's not doing great.
What?
What's taking you so long?
Oh, did I not play it? Oh,
I'm like, what is going on here?
I was playing it and listening to it. I didn't realize it wasn't on screen.
Catholic Jamie's listening to a show all on his own.
I'm not liking this setup. Hold on.
The Telegram. Well, you got to add it to the screen first off. It's not added.
Yeah, I know. I'm finding the right spot. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, speaking of boomers, I know.
boomers.
Yeah. Nick would have played it faster. Yeah. If he wasn't too busy. Never mind.
Two words together. But with that in mind, can I ask you to take us on a theological journey in terms of beginning with St. Paul?
Okay, so now I cut it there, and then the next clip is Scott's response. So now what he's asking him about is Romans 9 through 11. Okay, now Scott Hahn on the St. Paul Center website has a 4-hour presentation where he's speaking to priests about Romans 9, 10, and 11. Okay, it is the most controversial of St. Paul's letters. These 3 chapters where he gets into all Israel will be saved. Now, I have listened to these talks several times. This is not lightweight theology. It is very deep, where he's talking about when Paul says, will all Israel be saved? Is he talking about ethnic Israel? Is he talking about spiritual Israel? He's actually kind of talking about both. But the reason he's talking about both is because the northern kingdom is split in the Old Testament, where the 10 northern tribes break off, and those 10 northern tribes get dispersed throughout the nations, and they get mixed in with the Gentiles so much that the ethnic Israel that is dispersed through the nations become Gentiles. So when the new covenant begins by the Gentile nations converting, all Israel is saved. Ethnic Israel, the remnant that is preserved amongst the nations. Okay, so that is what St. Paul is talking about, that the 12 tribes of Israel are reunited by the new covenant going out to the nations. So it's I'm summing up 4 hours of talk into a very,
I honestly would not have been surprised if this had turned into Anthony Abbatti's 4-hour summary of Scott Hahn's 4-hour talk.
Yeah, like
I'm trying to 11.
I'm trying to summarize a very dense topic into 30 seconds. We did
3 hours on Daniel and Ephesians, based on Hahn's 3-hour talk.
Yes, but I think we did it more exciting. But it's one of those talks where when I heard it the first time, like my mind was so blown, because you hear all the time.
Yeah, what do you think that video was about the other day, guys? That was trying to convince everyone.
You hear all the time the Protestants talking about, like, where's the lost tribes of Israel? Are they in Africa? Are they here? Are they there? It's like, no, they were dispersed throughout the nation. So
unless you're Joseph Smith and you think that the lost one is here in America.
that's how crazy it gets amongst Protestants, right? So, all right, so now let's jump to the next video. And the next video is Scott's response to Gavin asking him to unpack Romans 9, 10, and 11 and address the issue of anti-Semitism, because Gavin feels that that there's this rising hatred for Jews, right? So let's see what Scott says. And I kind of clipped a little bit, because Scott kind of goes into explaining all the books and talks he's done on this topic, and then I kind of try to get to the substance of what he says. I don't know why it's so small.
I got it. Don't worry.
What demonic in its inspiration. We've also got to be very careful about labeling people anti-Semites, because on the other side of the spectrum, we have to recognize that to be a Catholic Christian, to be a New Testament Christian, does not in any way cause you to embrace Zionism as the fulfillment of prophecy. And so if somebody speaks out against a Zionist political agenda, with whatever
Pause it real quick.
Consequences.
Now I want you to, so what I clipped out I should have left in was Scott saying to Gavin, affirming Gavin in that there is no place for us to have anti-Semitism, like Saint Pope Pius XI said, we are all spiritually Semites, right?
Anti-Semitism in the actual sense of believing the Jewish people are less human, less dignified.
Yeah, or like actual hatred for somebody based on, you know, that, like that's what he means by anti-Semitism. But he almost doesn't entertain what Gavin says, and he says, but I want to get to the more important point that we can't just be labeling somebody anti-Semitic if they're criticizing Zionism, because as a Catholic, there's no justification to support Zionism as a fulfillment of any kind of
Wait, you
prophecy.
clipped that part out?
No, he says all this.
Okay.
So you can back up a little bit if you want. I just wanted to give like the preamble that he was saying, because he does say like there's no place for anti-Semitism, and I don't want to seem like I'm editing without giving context. But also watch how Gavin jumps in as Scott is saying this. Is like Gavin jumps in very nervously as Scott is saying this stuff, and that's kind of what threw me off on this.
Back to Gaza or missile strikes and so on and so forth. I'm just really cautious about even taking one step into the political arena.
Can I add one extra area? I mean, thank you so much for saying that. I think it was absolutely essential to be said, and you've said it. There's another step which you may not have come across, but I've been really surprised at, and that is the area of Catholic Holocaust denial, where the notion comes that the figures are exaggerated, the deaths are exaggerated, but they're exaggerated by, quote, the Jews themselves in order to ratchet up sympathy for Zionism, and added to this, and then there's this insidious argument from silence that the Talmud has been filled with.
Gavin is about to defend the Talmud. And I don't understand this.
I don't either, because the Talmud enters Judaism or long after like Christianity existed. Like what? There is no reason to defend the Talmud from a Christian perspective.
It's a strange thing that he's doing here, right? And he's saying people that even question the narrative of the Holocaust, they say that the numbers were inflated by the Jews to justify Zionism. Like, I don't know, man. I think that you have to take into account the amount of narratives that have collapsed over the past several years, specifically, especially after everybody dealing with COVID, where they fed us a narrative and we all saw it was complete nonsense. Then you start going back and you say, what else did they lie to me about? So people start questioning the 9/11 narrative, and you see that the 9/11 narrative was very much used as a way to get us into war, right? So you're like, okay, well, these narratives are clearly being used to justify things. So yes, people are starting to say, okay, wait, what else did they lie to us about? Mm-hmm. Now, this is not evil. I'm sorry. Like to label people as evil for honest inquiry into things is just wrong.
And why is this the only area of history that like we can't have a discussion on? You know, like people have a discussion whether Genghis Khan was evil or not, or whether what he did actually helped Europe and Asia,
or how many women he raped, because 34% of the world population is somehow related to him by DNA. And yeah, no, I don't know.
No, you're right though. I mean, we can have a discussion from either side on any topic in all of history, except for this one for some reason.
And my point in that is, the people that are making that accusation that Gavin is right now are actually hurting the argument on their part, because you're making it seem like there's something there that we're not allowed to look into. That's a danger that you guys are getting into. So now he goes,
if the evidence is so overwhelming, then it should be an easy argument to actually have in discussion and improve your argument. But when you shut down the conversation and don't allow any discussion on it, it comes off as, why are you doing that?
So now look, because it's difficult for us to do shows like this where, you know, we're putting Gavin and Scott Hahn in the thumbnail and people are just going to think we're doing gossip, but this is a very serious topic, and I'm kind of caught in between these two generations, and I respect a lot of these people. Like, I genuinely like Gavin, and I would love to have him on to have a conversation on this topic.
One of our funnest conversations on this whole show was talking
Him
with
telling-
Gavin about how he smuggled Bibles through the KGB. You know,
Yeah, I mean, it's just when I've been telling you guys that for the past year, I've been saying to you guys, this is going to be the divide in the church. We're talking about losing friendships here because we take a different opinion on this topic. Like, this is where the divide is. I'm telling you guys, and it's going to get more and more stark. We're going to, after we play these clips, we're going to get into a tweet that Joshua Charles put out of Benjamin Netanyahu referring to Rome and the next war with Rome that they're going to win. We're also going to play a clip of him saying how he thinks America is the new Rome, which is something I've been saying for a very long time. And it's just, you're going to see this issue is going to become more and more prominent, and this is going to be the divide in the church. It is not going to be so much over liturgy and things like that. It's going to be on this issue, and this issue has to be understood properly. And I think that Scott Hahn handled this entire conversation properly. And I'm just telling you guys, from sitting at this man's feet for this as many years as I have, I've never had a conversation with him, but I can tell you that from the things I've learned from him, he would say that because Israel was the woman that was the whore of Babylon in the first century, typologically, it will map up that they will be the whore in the second coming. Like, it's just typologically how it is fulfilled. I know how Scott's brain works. He probably would never say that, but I can tell you he was very cautious in this conversation not to say what Gavin was trying to lead him to say. Gavin kept trying to lead him to say things, and Scott refused to go where Gavin wanted him to. So we'll finish up with Gavin getting into the Talmud stuff, where he explains this Holocaust denial, then he defends the Talmud. Just watch how Scott reacts. Okay, and just understand that this is not me saying it. This is not. I'm telling you, watch how Scott reacts and kind of just diffuses what Gavin just said to get into what he sees as a bigger danger than anti-Semitism, or people like what Scott sees as a bigger danger than what Gavin is bringing up, because Gavin sees anti-Semitism as the biggest danger. And what you're going to hear is Scott tell you, no, actually the bigger danger is Zionism and thinking that there's a bicovenantal theology. Okay.
Right.
So let's,
and I haven't seen all the clips or all this, but I imagine, like, theologically, you're right, that is the bigger danger.
the bigger danger.
And theology is ultimately more important than some questions about an historical event. Theology can be dogmatic.
Listen to me.
In
When
the
I
Catholic
tell
faith,
you,
a historical event will never be dogmatic.
when I
other
tell
than-
you how I want to, like, I'm going to lead you guys into where this is going to go. Like, Scott gets into the claims that John Paul II says about the covenant is irrevocable. Scott talks about, yeah, if you're in the old covenant and you have not accepted Christ, you are in a burning house. He gets into, Gavin then tries to, we're going to go through all of it, but Gavin then tries to lead him to say, like, how he has such a deep reverence for the Jews because of the gifts they've given to the church. And Scott says, no, there's a disconnect between the modern Judaism and the old covenant. There's a disconnect there. And he relates the synagogue to Protestantism. Like, there's so much in this. I'm telling you guys, if you really actually listen to what Scott's saying, and look, Scott is going to be super cordial in the things he says. And he's going, of course, agree with Gavin that, yes, these are a danger, but I'm trying to subtly show you what the real danger is here. So
You want me to play, or you want to talk about
yeah, go ahead. Oh, yeah, we'll read that
Blasphemous
after, I guess.
anti-Christian vitriol, anti-Christ vitriol. And if only you knew it, you would know that
You're talking about the Talmud.
Rabbinic Judaism has filled their secret books, which you've never read, with this horrible, blasphemous anti-Christ stuff. And so they are still, therefore, the anti-Christ blasphemers, and we must react to them accordingly. This is the kind of dark end that's
How is that the dark end when it's the literal truth, though? Anyways,
beginning to emerge out of Catholic theology. And so thank you, first of all, for saying what you said about Zionism. That has to be said. But it seems to me that in the way I've described it, which is accurate, there is another insidious end too, which feeds off Holocaust denial and misrepresentation. It turns out these Talmudic texts are not at all what they've said, but they are in fact rather fringe cul-de-sacs of theological ambiguity that have been blown up by the anti-Semites in order to almost like the blood libel myth. They're eating your children again, only it's a kind of an ideological exaggeration rather than a social one. But the intention is the same.
Yeah. So I must admit to being almost entirely and blissfully ignorant of much of what you have just rightly identified as highly problematic.
Pause that.
One other
Pause that.
thing.
Gavin goes through this whole diatribe about the Holocaust denial, and then he defends the Talmud, and Scott goes, "Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about." That's literally what Scott Hahn just did. He went, "Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about." But let me tell you about what's more important. And he's about to tell you what's more important than all the stuff Gavin just said.
To me, his response is one of two things. It's either him in the most politest way possible telling Gavin purposefully, like, what you brought up really is whatever. It's it's not a problem really. Or he really is ignorant of it, which shows that it's really not a widespread problem because he's completely ignorant of it.
Because he's not on Twitter. Scott's not on Twitter. But I don't think he's ignorant of it. I think Scott is deflecting, answering, like engaging in this. And I want you to go back a couple of seconds to really see what Scott does here, because he goes, well, you've rightly identified, because Scott is going to be cordial with Gavin. And Gavin, like, if you do come across this and you watch this, like, understand I'm not attacking you in any way. I'm trying to show you, like, because you revere Scott Hahn as I do. And I'm telling you what I've learned at this man's feet. And that's kind of the thing we've been talking about on this show is that we are coming up on something that is very important. And Catholics need to understand the proper perspective on this. And never does that involve hatred of Jewish people because they are Jewish. Never. But you do need to understand the deception that is going to come upon us. And when you see Catholics supporting Zionism, that is a deception, and they are going to try and trick. Look, it's going to be the Jews accept the Antichrist, and there's going to be droves of heretics. You cannot be unaware of the dangers of this situation. So back up a tiny bit just to see how Scott's kind of just like, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
Blissfully ignorant of much of what you have just rightly identified as highly problematic. One other thing that we should identify on the spectrum too as really not a viable option for us as Catholics is a very popular position that goes under a variety of labels, but I know it as bicovenantalism. That is to say,
so now this is what Scott Hahn is going to say. So Gavin goes through this whole diatribe about the dangers of Holocaust denial and the dangers of misrepresenting the Talmud. And Scott's like, yeah, that's pretty bad. But can I tell you what's actually a danger? And that's actually the idea that there's a bicovenantal way to salvation, and that the Jews can stay Jews and be saved because they're under the old covenant, and Catholics, the Gentiles, are under a new covenant. That is the danger. That is
the danger to the soul of every Jew, right?
I'm not. This is funny. This is funny, but no. Actually, Gavin, I'm a bit of an anti-Semite myself. No, that's
at the end of the interview, Scott just goes and may Saint Simon of Trent pray for us.
No, but the blood libel thing, like that sign, we had a saint in the canon. Like, this is not, and it's, look,
I don't. He actually did not make it to.
He wasn't in the
canonization,
canon,
but
yeah. Listen. The thing is, Scott's our guy. That's all I'm going to tell you. Scott's our guy. Like, the Philos Project ain't getting him. He's our guy, I'm telling you. And I had faith in him when I saw the title of this interview. I had faith that Scott Hahn was not going to give in to the pressure, because he's been a spiritual father to me. So, I know he's a little soft on certain things. We wish he would be a little hard, but I know he's right on his theology on this topic.
Jews are saved by their adherence to the Old Covenant in general, the law of Moses in particular, and that Gentiles are saved by their faith in Jesus Christ. And there are, again, a wide spectrum of various shades of this particular view. But I would say that's exactly what Paul is not arguing in Romans 9 to 11. And so to say that, you can be saved by the Old Covenant, because the gifts and the calling of God are irrevocable. God does not revoke a covenant. He fulfills it by becoming man. And that's the whole point. But if you're going to be in the Old Covenant apart from Christ, who bore the curses for the brokenness of the Old Covenant, it's like being in a big house, a stately mansion that's on fire. So if you're in the Old Covenant apart from Christ, you are in a crisis,
Hahn.
because you don't want to get...
Hold on. Well, I got to replay that real quick.
Yes, you need to replay that. If you are in the Old Covenant and do not allow Christ to take upon him the curses of the Old Covenant for disobedience, you are in a mansion that is on fire. You are in a burning house. Like, this is... Think about, listen to me. I'm not making a bigger thing of this than I think. Like, Gavin brings a topic that he wants Scott Hahn to agree with him on, and Scott brushes him off.
To give Gavin credit there, I think it was more he brought someone he, in his mind, truly thought definitely agreed with him on, and had no idea that anyone like Scott Hahn would disagree with him on this.
But when I watched this interview, I was just like, whoa, what? And I think a lot of people would have watched this and not caught the subtlety of what happened there. Like that, because I read the comments in Gavin's show, and it was like two brilliant minds talking. I'm like, you guys people really aren't seeing what's happening here. That Gavin's trying to talk about one thing, and Scott's like, no, there's something more important here that we have to discuss.
And no one was even talking about it on Twitter until they all stole the clip I put out.
Yeah, right. But the funny thing is, nobody watched this interview.
Nobody
watched the...
I got that clip because you told me about it, and I went to look for it.
I called like 10 people, and I'm like, you have to watch this interview. Started at 50 minutes. Started right, because the whole first 50 minutes is very good stuff, but like this stuff starts at about the 51-minute mark. And I was like, what am I watching right now? This is wild. So let's keep going, because and the other clips I picked, when I tell you like the depth that Scott goes into with some of this stuff is unbelievable.
Man, and that's the whole point. But if you're going to be in the Old Covenant apart from Christ, who bore the curses for the brokenness of the Old Covenant, it's like being in a big house, a stately mansion that's on fire. So if you're in the Old Covenant apart from Christ, you are in a crisis, because you don't want to get out of the old into the new by simply abolishing the old, but by seeing how Christ in his own body, he died and he rose again. And so the transformative fulfillment by Christ of the old in the new is rightly characterized by the Greek term metamorphosthai, where we get metamorphosis. So, I mean, just to use a banal analogy, the butterfly.
Okay. Now, because I see people saying so much for not talking about the Jews again. Like, guys, I'm sorry. This is important. Like, this is huge, especially for people to see it coming from a guy like Scott Hahn, because it's not coming from Nick Fuentes. It's not coming from Father Maudsley. It's coming from somebody very respected in mainstream Catholicism, that a lot of people have learned their Catholic faith from. Like, this stuff is very important. I'm not trying to troll and talk about the JQ and Groyperism. None of that.
This is really much more of a theological issue. And if we do shows and talk about all the other changes in Catholic theology that have happened, with Vatican II onward, this is one of them. And like, if those are all, top or theological topics that need to be discussed within the church, then this definitely is too. And especially because this one has widespread geopolitical ramifications.
Yeah.
That the church needs to get right.
Well, the thing also is, like, people will write off Father Maudsley like he's a crazy anti-Semite. Like, I know Father Maudsley. I know that man has more charity than just about any priest I've ever seen. Like, I know when he's talking about things, he is not saying them to boost he's not an priest trying to boost himself in the algorithm. He is literally laying on a cross and saying, I will die for the truth. So you people could write him off. You could say whatever you want. I know that man is willing to sacrifice everything for the truth. So I'm sorry. Gavin, what's sad is that I don't know this, but it seems like a lot of this stuff started coming out from Gavin when Father Maudsley was on Catholic Unscripted. I don't know if that's what happened, but it seems like that's when he started pushing back on this stuff. Because when they interviewed him, I think it was just Catherine interviewed him, but there was so much pushback on that channel that I feel like Gavin felt like he needed to go the other way. And that's kind of where the genesis of all this stuff is.
Because ultimately Gavin is fighting for what he believes the truth to be too.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a very principled individual as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just I think that we need to make sure we get this issue right. So that's why, like, none of what I'm doing tonight is to roast Gavin. It's to address the ideas of what he's saying and show that, like, this stuff is important. Let's go to the next clip because there's some really important stuff in this interview that if you're not paying attention, you kind of miss it and you think it's just a casual conversation. No, Scott is talking about some very important stuff here.
Ask you an emotional question rather than everything is theological in one sense. In the conversations I've had with traditional Catholics, who of course absolutely say they're not anti-Semitic, when I say, well, what do you understand the purpose of Jews to be? Now that the Catholic Church
pause this real quick because I have to set this up for a second.
And the answer is, well,
listen to what he's saying here. He is strawmanning a trad position that is insane. Like, he's saying that when I ask trads what they think the purpose of the Jews is if they don't convert, well, they're rather useless. I have never heard anyone say anything like that. The very opposite, in fact. There is a very big purpose to the Jews. There's a very big purpose behind God keeping the Jews as a people. And if you get into Augustine, and Scott talks about this in the interview, I don't know if I recorded it, but Augustine, Aquinas, they all talk about how God preserved the Jewish people. And that's a testament to the Catholic Church, because all of the other religions, like all the pagan religions, disappeared. God preserves the people of the old covenant because, one, they're a witness to the truth of the biblical, to the scriptures, but second, because they are still part of the divine plan. They still have a role in salvation history. It's not that they are saved under their covenant. It's that there is a role for them to play in the end, in the eschaton. They are going to be adversarial to the Catholic Church. And then there will be a unification of the brothers, like we always talk about on this show. And they are a witness people to the truth of the scriptures. It's like, it is, see, Pope Benedict talked about this. Pope Benedict talked about how the fact that they are still a people, they are, it is a witness to God. Like, it's a witness to the truth of Catholicism, essentially, like the fact that they're still a people. So all right, we'll finish this clip out, but listen to the straw man that he's making of trads here that I really didn't like. And I really am curious, because there's something that's going on with Gavin that it's like it's anti-Semitic and demonic, and then within a month he's talking with Michael Matt on Trad Inc. And Trad Inc. has to fight back, and then he's got Larry Chapp on, and then he's interviewing Scott Hahn. Like, I feel like Gavin he kind of doesn't know who he wants to be. Like, do you want to be the remnant with Michael Matt fighting for the TLM, or do you want to be with Larry Chapp talking about the hermeneutic of continuity, or do you want to? I don't know what you're going for, Gavin. Like, and I want to give all charity to you, But I don't know what
Right.
I don't
Because
know.
from the outside, it seems like Gavin may fall to whatever side
is popular or wins.
holds to his beliefs on Judaism and Zionism.
Yeah. Well, I know Michael Matt is very vocal about, and he's very much on the same, like looking at it from our perspective.
Yeah.
Like Michael Matt is very much worried about Zionism. He's very much worried about what's happening in Israel. So I'm curious because Gavin was like one of the headline speakers at the last Remnant conference. So I don't know if Michael Matt's unaware of this stuff that's going on right now. I don't know, but
I'm wondering if Gavin is unaware of where everyone falls on this issue. I think he might believe everyone is with him on this issue, and it's shocking to him that people aren't. It's
a tricky one. And I would like to talk to Michael Matt. He just refuses to acknowledge that I exist. He's like Candace Owens' husband. They just, they know who I am, and they just
keep
never heard of me.
Ducking you, huh,
They know exactly who I am. They just pretend they don't. These bums. No, I would never say Gavin's doing it for money. No, nothing like that. I don't know. I do not know the man's heart. I know what's going on here though. Listen to the straw man of the trap position, and then we'll kind of break it down.
What do you understand the purpose of Jews to be now that the Catholic Church has become the new Israel and the fulfillment of everything? And the answer is, well, they must become Catholics. Well, of course, we want them to become Catholics. We want them to receive the blessings of the sacrifice of our Lord and Savior. And if they don't become Catholics, well, then comes reply, they're kind of useless or worse than useless. And there's a kind of theological contempt that I hear in this that I think borders on anti-Semitism. I find myself filled with an affection towards Jews and Judaism and the precursor. I look upon the caterpillar with a certain amount of gratitude and joy, knowing
pause it, because so you hear what he says? I look upon the Jews with an affection as if they're the precursor to us. And now listen to how Scott goes into this. Scott talks about the discontinuity. He doesn't agree with Gavin. He talks about, no, there's actually a disconnect. Like the modern Judaism is not that caterpillar. The caterpillar that becomes the butterfly are the apostles and Our Lady before the resurrection. Like that, and Abraham and Isaac, like that is the caterpillar. But what you have in modern Judaism is like living according to the flesh. It's like the law according to the flesh, as opposed to freedom in the spirit. Like, so Scott gets into this. So he kind of listen to how Gavin sets it up, and then listen to how Scott kind of dismisses it the same way he does every other thing that Gavin brings up.
But always, the purpose of the caterpillar is always to give life to the butterfly, and at no point does it become a matter of denigrating it. How would you answer someone who with a certain degree of barely repressed contempt in their voice suggested there was no purpose for Jews unless
that's what lawyers call leading the witness.
Leading the witness. What would you say to these people who barely have an ability to hide their contempt? Like, no, Gavin, like, do you really think I have contempt for Jews, man? Like, come on.
Look at, like, I mean, I don't want to. When you pause videos, you never know what face someone's gonna have, but look at Scott's face.
Yeah, Scott's like what are you
talking about, man?
And especially going after trans, this was so hard for me to watch.
They became Catholics.
Well, I would say that is understandable, but just wrong-headed. You're doing the wrong thing, and you're trying to argue by right reasons. And I would point out, a number of things. First and foremost, since you're asking me personally and emotionally, I have so many friends who are converts.
I got black friends, yo. Scott just said, I got black friends. I'm not a racist, bro. I got black friends.
What they do enriching the Catholic faith and enriching our understanding and appreciation, not only for the law and the prophets, but the rich heritage of their own Judaism is almost indescribable. But I would also point to Paula Fredrickson, who is a New Testament scholar she is herself Jewish, but she has written a book on St. Augustine. And you could write a similar book on St. Thomas Aquinas, because both Augustine and Aquinas really cherish the fact that God has preserved Judaism in a way that you don't find Samaritanism, for example,
Yes.
Northern Israel, that it has a prophetic value. Now, I'm not convinced at all that this is what would lead Paula Fredrickson and say, therefore I'm an Augustinian Christian. Of course not. I mean, she is a practicing Jew, but she recognizes in Augustine, and especially in Contra Faustum, but other works as well, that when you become a Catholic like Augustine did, you end up valuing, treasuring the heritage of Judaism more, not less. It's not going to say, bring satisfaction to Orthodox Jews who say, okay, so Augustine didn't want to see Jews converted. Of course he does, out of charity. And I would say a similar thing is going on in Aquinas, that the preservation of the Jews is a part of divine providence. It's a part of a merciful providence. It's also a sign that we could describe as prophetic. And so, if in the first century you already begin to see in Paul's own ministry among the Gentiles the conversion of all Israel, a fortiori, all the more are you going to await what the fathers would celebrate by anticipation, and that is the conversion that will bring in a great enrichment to the church at whatever point near the eschaton that God has appointed.
Okay, so the next clip I did, he gets into he's talking about, well, first off, this is correct. So you could do a 30-day free trial, and it's like a 5-part series on will all Israel be saved? And it's phenomenal. It's an old priest conference that Scott Hahn did. It's slow at times. It's worth sitting through the entire thing. So the next clip, and we will get to your comments. Rob's been starring a lot of the comments that we're going to get to. But the last clip is kind of where he gets into explaining the divergence of the old, the divergence of the rabbinic Judaism, how it's nothing like what happens after the temple's destroyed. So did he think he was going to what? Did Gavin think he was going to corner the goat on the Jews in Scripture? I don't know. I don't know if Gavin understands this topic properly, which is kind of why I wanted to talk about this, because I'm hoping, because in a way it seemed like Gavin wasn't really listening to the things Scott was saying. He was waiting to just jump in to throw his next point in, and it's like, no, you have to actually listen to what Scott's saying here. This stuff he's getting to something very deep here. So let's play that last clip. And if you guys can, please like and subscribe.
But he points out that after 70 AD, after the destruction of Jerusalem, the temple, the priesthood, the cessation of all animal sacrifice, you have post-biblical Judaism taking on the form that we would call rabbinic Judaism or synagogal Judaism. And of course, we're familiar with that. And at the same time, we would say that Catholic Christianity is the full flowering or fulfillment of the old, that there is continuity from old to new, there is discontinuity. It's partly restorative. It's also tremendously transformed. It's transformative. To adapt, Hegel's term sublation, I use that in my article in this book, From Sinai to Rome. There really is a transformative fulfillment. But getting to the point, when you look at the old, the centerpiece of this is the presence of God in a sanctuary with a priest empowered to approach the altar to offer a sacrifice. And this presence, this priesthood, this liturgy, I think, is central. It was in the Mosaic tabernacle at Sinai. It was in the first temple of Solomon. It is in the second temple period as well. But when you move from the old to the new, and you look at the transformative fulfillment that Christianity brings, you would compare this to rabbinic Judaism, as Rabbi Baruch Levine does in passing. Because when you look at the Hebrew Bible, you don't find the term rabbi, you don't find the term synagogue. And so rabbinic Judaism, in a certain sense, represents continuity with the religion of ancient Israel, but also discontinuity, because you have not the presence of God, not the Shekinah glory. You don't have priests in the line of Levi anymore. You have rabbis in a synagogue taking a scroll and reading from the law and the prophets and proclaiming that in terms of what we might describe as a sermon. But none of that is really in the law and the prophets. Whereas Levine points out that in the Catholic Church, you have the belief in the divine presence. You also have a priesthood approaching an altar to offer a sacrifice. We call it the Mass. And so we believe that the old is fulfilled by the new as we move from the earthly Jerusalem to the heavenly Jerusalem, from a man-made temple, a temple made by hands, to a temple not made by hands, as the prophets themselves could foresee. And so I would say, yeah, there is a transformation of biblical religion from the old to the new. But, when you look at rabbinic Judaism and synagogal liturgy, and just parenthetically, this obviously becomes the blueprint for so much of what we would describe as Protestant worship, as Protestant liturgy. You don't have the presence, you don't have the altar, you don't have the priest, you don't have the sacrifice. But all of this, as I outline in my book, The Lamb's Supper, the Mass is Heaven and Earth, shows us that in the liturgy of the saints and the angels in the heavenly Jerusalem, the Amen, the Gloria, the Hallelujah, the Agnus Dei, the Holy, 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 all of these things are being done on earth in the Mass as they are in heaven by the angels and saints, because there aren't two liturgies, theirs and ours. There aren't two churches,
I must have not clicked
a heavenly one and an earthly one.
What he says, and I'm going to urge everybody to go and watch from the 51-minute mark to the end of the show. What he talks about is how the Jews are living according to the law and the flesh, and their refusal to accept God's mercy. Like, it's like a stubbornness. It's a stubbornness. It's not the modern Jews are not the caterpillar that Gavin is referencing. They aren't. There's a total break. Like what goes on from the temple after the temple is destroyed is Phariseeism. It's the Pharisees. They're the ones who develop rabbinic Judaism. And who is Jesus rebuking throughout the New Testament? He's rebuking the Pharisees because their hardness of heart. They're living according to the letter of the law, but not the heart of the law. They're finding ways to get around the rules by saying, well, technically we followed it. And you see that on all these Shabbat lamps that that you see on Twitter all the time, where it's like, well, I can't touch the electric, but we got this little flip where we flip it and look, we tricked God. That is the Judaism that goes on. It's like, and that's also the Talmud. The Talmud is finding these ways to it's rabbis like arguing about how they can get around these things. But the Talmud does talk about something important, which is after the resurrection, it's like there's like a rope that lights up at every time.
No, it's so during Yom Kippur, right, the Day of Atonement, right, they would have a red string, and if God accepted the sacrifices in the temple for the sins of the people, that red string would be washed by God and turn white. The last time that happened ever was prior to Christ's crucifixion.
Yeah,
that Day of Atonement stopped working, and the Talmud said it stopped working approximately 40 years prior to the destruction of the temple in 70 AD.
and
Which means it either stopped working, it approximately, you could say maybe it's up to in 33 AD, prior to, Christ's crucifixion, or maybe it was 40 years and stopped in 30 AD during the beginning of Christ's public ministry. That they're not 100% sure on, but it stopped.
Yeah, because they didn't have because they don't have the Ark of the Covenant during this time.
Right.
But they still have this happening, so that like you still have the presence of God in the temple, and it's like, okay, we don't have the Ark of the Covenant, but God is still with us. And then once Christ comes, that stops. Roy Schumann talks about this in his book, Salvation is from the Jews. So, but it's just, it's the interview is well worth listening to. I'm not trying to attack Gavin in any way. I hope that he actually picks up on the subtleties of what Scott is talking about are the more important matters here. That all of this ranting and raving about anti-Semitism, it's like, as Catholics, we have to have a proper understanding of this stuff. Because if your theology is off on this, you will get lured in, because propaganda works really good, guys. Like, we all fall for it. We all fall for propaganda. And it's very easy to fall into this idea that there's going to be another Holocaust. Oh my goodness, I don't want to be on that side of it. I don't want to be the ones criticizing this stuff, when there's going to be things that happen soon that will need to be criticized. They will need to be spoken about. And we're going to have to speak about them without worrying that you're going to be called an anti-Semite. It's like, if you're not willing to at least endure that accusation, what the hell are you going to do when they tell you to step on a picture of Christ's face? Like, if you're not even willing to go, oh my gosh, they called me an anti-Semite, like, who cares what anybody's? I love Gavin, but if he accuses me of being a rad trad anti-Semite, like, so be it. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care.
It's the whole thing with the Heritage Foundation and the whole Shabbat dinner,
Yeah.
The things like that. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that becomes more widespread, where you're asked to show solidarity by going to Shabbat dinners and Seder meals and all these things. And you have to recognize as Catholics that we just cannot do that. We cannot acknowledge a false religion. And that's what modern Judaism is, a false religion.
Yeah, and look, this stuff has infected the church. I mean, this is what is underlying the rot in the church. So when I say this is the divide in the church, this is where it all stems from. You go back to the council, and this is all about this Nostra Aetate, and then bringing all these other religions in, and all this. It's all about this, because as long as Catholicism is just one amongst many religions and not the one true church, let's just all let's human fraternity this thing out. Let's human fraternity this thing out. What's the big deal? Oh, we just have to dialogue with our neighbor. It's not going to work. And the thing is, there's going to be many Catholics that fall away. Like, Jesus talks about, when I return, will there be faith left on earth? We know there's going to be a great apostasy. It is going to be over this issue, guys. I don't know. Sometimes I get like these weird insights and feelings, and this is just one of them. Like, this is going to be the thing. So I want to go over.
It could be a thing that actually potentially brings in a lot of Protestants, though, too, right? Because there are Protestants that do recognize, the difference in. That do recognize the fulfillment of the old covenant in the new, right? And how long before they do realize that the Protestant denial of the Catholic priesthood is no different than the rabbinical Judaism denial of the priesthood of Christ.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to do. So there's too much to do here to do locals tonight, but I think this is too important to not talk about on here. But I think we should do Recusant, and then I want to get into Joshua Charles's tweet. And what I'm going to tell you is that what Josh, because I talk to Josh and I spend hours together speaking, and I'm never going to put words in his mouth, but the people that I respect the most in this, in theology and in this department, they're all saying the same thing I am. And Josh, I mean, I'm whatever. We're going to read his tweet. We'll go through it, and I'll try to just stick to what he says.
Probably watch the video first, then read the tweet.
Well, yeah. But so let's do Recusant Sellers. Maybe we'll do. So guys, we're not going to do locals tonight. We're going to do this tonight because this is a good one, and it needs to be talked about. We'll do Recusant, then we'll
catch up on. Chats. We'll do let's do super chats first. Finish off this whole topic. Do Requisite, and then move forward.
Yeah. So I mean, this is all one topic, though. Like when we get it is all one topic, and it's all. So, but yeah, let's do super chats real quick.
So, some of them I have started are not super chats, but we'll still go through them. So,
This shows the power of worldview. Gavin never suspected Hahn wasn't going to vociferously agree with him and then defend Zionism using complex theology, which is what Gavin wanted him to do. I think that's 100% accurate. Like Gavin led the question and thought Scott would back him up with some deep insights, and Scott kind of just was like, look, the deeper problem here is this.
Yeah. This is similar. The boomer minds can simply not understand these things. The world they live their lives is so far away from where it is now.
That's
Once
a good
again, it's just the
point. And like
worldview.
I think you have to grant a little bit of charity to a lot of the older generation because of that. So
It's the same reason why they still say things like, you know, if you want a house, pull yourself up by your bootstraps,
up by your bootstraps.
and all that stuff. The world they grew up in is just gone. They don't realize it.
It's not that it's just gone. It's kind of like built the chaos we're in now. Like that kind of mentality is just like suck it up and just do what you're supposed to do. And it's like, look at the world crumbling around you. Just suck it up and go about it. It's like it's just falling apart. Hahn did the exact same thing with Christopher West when he tried to get Hahn to agree with his cockamamie ideas on weird sexual biblical interpretations. I didn't see that, but I would assume it's probably accurate.
Let's see here. So we read the one about going to the St. Paul Center Digital Library. Here's a good one.
So many Catholics hear only enough to hear that the Jews are our older brothers, not nearly enough hear that this is a brotherhood like that of Cain and Abel. So we talk about that a lot on this show. And the Jews actually got upset eventually when they caught on to what the church was doing by saying, you're our elder brothers. So like they were all for it in the beginning, and then they went, hey, wait a minute, we know what you mean by that. So like there's a little bit of friction on that topic now, and they're not crazy about that anymore. So there are four main enemies of the world: Muslims, Hindus, Buddhists, and Jews. We are Catholics. We never bow to anyone except our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ and our Blessed Virgin Mother, our co-redemptrix.
So that's it for super chats. So let's do requisite real quick.
Recusinsellers.com. Use code BASED at checkout for 10% off in honor of Christ the King. So Recusinsellers is a winery. They are in Idaho. They're
in Washington State.
They're in Washington State, but they're close to Idaho, right next to it.
They are, right? Some of our listeners from Idaho have gone to the winery, to the vineyard, and loved it. So,
which is why I thought they were in Idaho, because our Idahoan friends. What do you call them? Idahoan? I don't know. What do you call that?
Idaho. I know how it's spelled, but it is hard to pronounce, isn't it?
Is it Idahoan?
Idahoan?
we can't pronounce.
No, Udahoan.
We can't pronounce Recusant, Idahoan. We can't do any of this. We're terrible. So yes, our friends from Idaho went and visited the vineyard. They met the family. They said they were an amazing family. They're great.
See if I can get one of those guys on to join us with Ryan.
Sure. Yeah. If they want to come on, definitely. Like they could sponsor the episode. Yeah, it's Idahoan. I think I had it right. So Recus and Sellers, they're also a fruit farm. They deliver to most states. There are some states where they can't deliver wine, but I think you can still get the fruit. They are amazing. They let us talk about anything we want. They especially love when we talk about this topic, apparently. I mean, they're right on board with us. They're like, drink a bottle of wine as the apocalypse comes and the whore of Babylon rides the beast. Let's go. We love Recus and Sellers, guys. Go to recusinsellers.com. Use code BASED at checkout for 10% off. Tell them that we sent you and let them know you love Avoiding Babylon and that they sponsor us. All right, let's do the Joshua Charles tweet. This one, man, if you guys haven't seen this one, we'll play the video first, but Josh has a way of presenting the exact same ideas a lot of people do without being bombastic, and he presents them in a serious way where if you're really paying attention, it's like, oh wait, this is the church fathers warned us about all of this. So let's play the Bibi Netanyahu video and then we'll go from there. You guys are cool, but I have no idea what's going on. Well, you kind of have to probably watch from the beginning of the episode to understand most of it. But
well, actually, they have been here since the beginning. So really, you might have to watch since the beginning of like 3 years ago.
I try to bring this stuff down to like layman's level because I'm a layman and I'm not that smart. If I could grasp this stuff, you guys should be able to.
It's not kosher wine, so
it's not kosher wine. I'm sad they don't ship anti-Semitic wine to my state.
Okay, here's the video.
We want to know what you're reading now.
What I'm reading?
Yeah.
It's a book by a historian by the name of Barry Strauss. It's called The Jews Against Rome. Jews Against Rome.
What made you pick it up?
Well, we lost that one. I think we have to win the next one.
We want to know what you're reading now.
Talking about the destruction of the temple in 70 AD, the Jews versus Rome. Well, we lost that one, but we have to win the next one. So let's get into what Josh has to say about this. So from a theological perspective, this is an extremely interesting video released by Netanyahu's press office account on Instagram. I took the screen record myself from their account because I wanted to ensure it was genuine and not AI. The traditional Jewish perspective is that the enemy of the Jewish people, Edom, is now identified with Rome, which is often associated with Christendom, the Catholic Church, etc. This identification is because of Rome's destroying the temple in 70 AD. There will be a final end times clash between the Jewish people and Edom, in which the Messiah will defeat Edom. I found many rabbis discuss this in my own study of Jewish eschatology. This is the more interesting given my study of the catacomb, or the restrainer mentioned by St. Paul in Thessalonians 2, which holds back the coming of the Antichrist. The majority interpretation of the Church Fathers is that the catacomb is in some sense the Roman Empire. This was further refined by various fathers, theologians, scholastics, etc., to indicate something connected with the church. I personally believe it is preeminently Christendom, and that Christendom, centered on the Church of Rome, the Catholic Church, in both its spiritual and temporal aspects, is the primary thing which restrains the coming of Antichrist. Additionally, the fathers are unanimous that the Jews will, at least at first, believe Antichrist is the Messiah. See note below. It's a huge topic that I can't do justice to in a short post, but I've been researching and writing a great deal about it for several years now. I will have more in the coming months. Suffice it to say, once this catacomb is removed, Antichrist comes, and if the catacomb is in some sense Rome, the Antichrist is initially received by the Jews as Messiah. Well, that's interesting, as they say. The convergence of Jewish and Catholic interpretation on this question, though obviously expressing it from opposite sides, where apparently the Messiah is one of the Antichrist of the other, is something that should not be ignored. An important note, ultimately, the Church Fathers unanimously say that the Jews will initially receive Antichrist as Messiah, who will deceive them. The whole point is that he must convince them that he is the actual Messiah. But they will ultimately realize they've been deceived, they will reject Antichrist, and then will undergo a mass conversion to Christ, their true Messiah. This, I believe, will be the true reconciliation between Jacob, Israel, Esau, Edom, at the end of time. It is also absolutely fascinating to me that Netanyahu speaks of losing the last war against Rome, presumably referring to the Jewish rebellions of the 1st and 2nd centuries, and the need to win the next one. I'd be very curious for a theologically literate interviewer to ask him who this Rome is that he seeks to defeat. Now, I want to play the other clip of him before we break down what Josh is talking about here, because he actually tells you who he thinks Rome is.
Let me give me a second to pull that up. That's a different tweet.
Yeah, it's a different tweet. This is from a few months back when Mike Pompeo, or a few years back maybe, when Mike Pompeo went to Israel.
Here we go. I'll share this tab. Okay. And here we are.
Okay, so now there's an exchange between Mike Pompeo and Benjamin Netanyahu.
We had a moving visit today to the wall. I can't resist repeating this, but I'm going to. I said,
Go louder.
No, that's the loudest.
Last time Pompeo visited Jerusalem, didn't end that well. But this is a different time. Rome and Jerusalem clashed over values, with a great tragedy for the Jewish people. But the new Rome, the United States, views itself as a new Jerusalem.
Now, look, you have to think about this. You have to think about this. This is something we've been talking about on this show. The American empire is throughout the entire world. We go around, we throw in whoever we want as a we overthrow governments, we put our own guys in all over the. America is the new Roman Empire. We rule with an iron fist. We are the leaders of the world. Like, we are the empire of the world. If you look to what Israel does in the first century, they collude with Rome to crucify the Messiah. Israel has its tentacles throughout the world. They are the nation that has drunk on the blood of the martyrs, mixed. If you don't see America as the new Rome and Israel as the whore of Babylon, I don't know, man. I don't know. Benjamin Netanyahu sees it that way.
I would say you got to be careful kind of having this right after Joshua's tweet, because Rome is the church and the remnants of
no.
actual
So look,
Romanness.
So look, the Rome in the first century, like, the church is the new Israel, right? So spiritually, like, Christendom was Rome, right? But
yes,
it's the American Empire is the Roman Empire of the first century that has not been christened. It's not bad. It's like this tyrannical force. It's the beast that rises up. So it's the beast that was, that is not now, but then will return. It's in Apocalypse 17:8. So it's the beast that was, is not, and will rise up from the abyss. That is what the American Empire is, where the church is the new Israel. It's like spiritual Israel, and modern Israel is Israel according to the flesh. It's a tricky thing to understand.
What I'm saying is, we got to be. People could misunderstand and think that if America is the new Rome, then America is the catacon. That's not.
No. What Josh is saying,
that the Rome that the Antichrist will fight against is the church.
Correct.
It's not America, because America will be subverted by the Jews, by the Antichrist.
The modern Israel, the Jews according to the flesh, will collude with the beast that returns to persecute the church, just like they did in the first century. Like, that's how it maps out. It's like, just like they colluded with Rome to crucify the Messiah. Like,
they used Rome as a tool to achieve their goals.
Correct. Yeah. So they're the whore that's drunk on the blood of the martyrs, but
Netanyahu and many others realized that they didn't subvert Rome enough the first time around, and it came back and bit them in the.
It's exactly what happened.
So now Netanyahu is saying, we're not going to make that mistake again. We're going to subvert Rome, what they consider to be Rome, again, to use as a tool for their ends, but they're going to do so in a way where that tool doesn't then turn around and destroy them.
So back to Josh's tweet.
What are you looking at?
I'm just going back to Josh's tweet. So so the traditional Jewish perspective, so the catacon I want to get to. Let's see. So, more interesting, giving my study of the catacon, or the restrainer mentioned by St. Paul, which holds back the coming of Antichrist. The majority interpretation of the church fathers is that the catacon is in some sense the Roman Empire. So, like, the Roman Empire in connection with the church. So, like, the catacon, the restrainer, had to do with the Holy Roman Emperor.
Holy Roman Empire, the Roman law,
not
Roman
Rome,
traditions.
the Holy Roman Empire. Like,
except that is a continuation of the Roman Empire.
It's the baptized version of it.
One of them,
like,
yes.
Yeah, like the Holy. So, but when the church, if the church is the restrainer, the things that we are seeing happen right now, the weakening of the church, Pope starts with Pope Paul VI laying down that papal tiara. Like, that is the catacomb. The church, the papacy,
it started before that, I would say.
Yeah, of course, but the symbolism behind that is all I'm saying. Then you have the council, and then you start having these weak documents come out, and you have pope after pope who are afraid to proclaim the truth of Christ because they're more concerned with the concerns of men than they are with the concerns of God. Pope after pope doing this. I mean, you have Leo doing it now, accepting a gay couple into the Vatican today, as James Martin is doing what he's doing. Like, this is, in my view, the church in its passion. It's like when Christ is marching to that pillar and they're beating him at the pillar, if you looked on, you'd say, that's not the Messiah. There's no way. When he's suffering on that cross, you say, there's no way that's the Messiah. What the church is going through right now, it's like that's not the church of Christ. Like, that can't be the one true church, but it is.
Mhm. I mean, if you look at it, by the time Vatican II rolls around, the church is all that's remaining of a Romanitas that had existed since the Roman Empire. Starting with the Protestant revolt starts to diminish the power of the Holy Roman Empire and the power of the church. You have the Enlightenment leading to the French Revolution, where Napoleon goes and ends up actually dissolving the Holy Roman Empire. Then you have World War I, which destroys all the traditional, institutions in Europe, and ends in you have the last Habsburg, being dethroned. And even though he wasn't technically a Holy Roman emperor at the time, he is the last of
He's
that line.
He's the lineage of it, yeah.
Right. And then you have World War II, of course, kicks off when some remnants in Europe try to reestablish a bastardized, perverted version of some sort of traditional, Europeanness. So yeah, you can really see the last 500 years as a destruction of Romanitas, and by the time Vatican II rolls around, the church is all that's remaining, and that's why there's been such a war on the church since then.
On the church, and it's like, so even when I was on with the Sedes, I was trying to say this to them. I said, like, I know it looks like the church is completely given up, but it's like there's still the protection of the Holy Spirit. When you see, like, if it was up to these men, they would ordain women. If it was up to these men, there'd be gay marriage. But there's still something stopping these men from doing this stuff. You still have the Holy Spirit protecting the church from doing the craziest stuff. And the world still sees the Catholic Church as its number one enemy to get these things through. Like, the church may not look like Christ does when he's healing the leper. It's not like the miracles are kind of, it's not this miraculous church. We don't have stigmatist saints walking around right now. It's just the church and her passion. It's like the church is just going through something where when you look at it, you're like, I don't know, man. There's a lot of things I could look at and say that can't be the church, but it's the church. And it's just going through something right now. And I think all the things that we're seeing in the world, and especially with this question that we keep talking about, that we say every episode we don't want to talk about, but it's just, I'm not talking about it because I want to talk about it. I'm talking about it because I'm reacting to the things. Like, it's like every time I want to talk about something else, something happens where I'm like, I have to discuss this, man. It's like, I don't know. And I think that conversation with Gavin and Scott was really eye-opening. It used to bother me that the world hated the Catholic Church and not mine. Now I feel properly hated. Yeah, the world will always hate the Catholic Church. That's the thing. And it's like, look, there's things going on right now where even you as a Catholic are like, what the heck is this, man? Like, what is this? What is this stupid thing with James Martin? Like, what is this stuff? And it's just this. It's Christ getting spit on before the Sanhedrin is what that is. It's like the humiliation that we're going to go through as Catholics. Be prepared, guys. It's going to get much worse. And the thing is, as people are saying in the comments, they're like, we're going to look back on this time with reverence. Like, God chose us all to be alive right now. Like, God chose you to live in these insane times. The saints of old longed to live in these times. Kind of crazy, because like we all long for like the times past when the church was in her glory. We're not in a time where the church is in her glory, going and preaching the gospel to the world and conquering the pagan nations and gathering all things into Christ. It's just not where we are right now in salvation history. Where we are right now is a very different time. Like, you see what's happening. You see the timidity of our Pope. Pray for our Pope. He's very timid. Very, very timid. And he thinks he could please everybody. And you can't please everybody. And it's like, you don't stand for something. Things are going to get very difficult going forward, kids. It's gonna get tricky, and your faith is going to be tested. You're going to see you have to remember this. Hang on, let me find it. I just put it up.
What are you doing?
I'm sorry. I'm looking for the Bible verse I tweeted before. Hang on. I'm sorry, guys. I know this is terrible, but like, it's for the time is coming when men will not. For the time is coming when people will not endure sound teaching, but will have itching ears. They will accumulate for themselves teachers to suit their own likings. Like, that's where we are. People who don't want to endure sound doctrine. They want to hear things that make them feel good. Oh, this sounds good. Okay, yeah, let's go with this. Oh, you just have to love your neighbor. Oh, what's the big deal if the two married homosexual men get confirmed in the church? What's the big deal? Let's not use the title co-redemptrix because that could scandalize people. Let's just confirm two gay married men and bring them in. And the gay man that's coming in, his godfather is his husband. It's gonna get worse. I just like man. We should
What?
We should go back and go through the Benedict. We're not going to, but the Ratzinger interview from this 1969, where
We've done that before.
I know we have, but it's just one of those things that's good to reflect on every year. So we don't have to do it now, but he just goes in and he talks about how the church is going to lose her prestige. No longer will she be.
And you're 1,000 away, man.
Oh my gosh, you guys have to be kidding me.
So for anyone who wasn't here at the beginning, Ant's brother needs minimum $17,000 for a new boiler for his house so that his kids have hot water and heat for the winter. So where did I put that? I have it somewhere here.
If you guys just go back and watch the first 7 minutes of the show, and I just tell a personal story about why we're trying to raise money for my brother. But I just like, you guys really just, you have no idea how much it means to me that you guys are there for us. It's like, first off, it's such a witness to Christian charity. Like, in 24 hours, you guys did something that will change my brother's life. Like, seriously. And to be able to give him that gift, I cannot wait. I like to keep it a secret from him for this long, but I just cannot wait to tell him that I have.
If any of you know Ant or have talked to him personally, or have ever told him, hey, keep the secret, don't tell anyone this, you have to know it is literally the hardest thing in the world for him to do.
Yeah. I do have lines. Like, if you tell me, like, do not mention this on the show, like, I'll never mention it on the show. But especially because
but keep on the show. There was a condition there, and he will go around.
No, it's the hardest thing for me to not tell it on the show if it's a touching story or if it's something I think will move the audience. Like, I'm a storyteller, right? So like, I love telling stories.
Read it.
Wait, $800 away. New HVAC units are so good, but don't waste one of your 3 cries on this. You little queer. I stopped myself in the beginning of the show. I felt it coming. I was like, all right, let's get to the video.
I heard it coming.
The boys started cracking, but I didn't shed a tear. But he's my kid brother, man. You know what I'm gonna do? I want to send you a picture of me and my kid brother when we were.
Yeah, send it to me.
I'm gonna send you a picture of me and my brother.
I don't think, because the only brother of yours I've met has been Joey, and of course I've seen Dominic because he's the TV star. But I've never seen Mikey, especially because you made your wife block me on Facebook. So
Wait, this picture I'm going to show you. This is me and my brother at like 19 years old. I'll send it to you on Telegram, right?
Yeah, send it to me on Telegram.
All right, I just said this is me and my brother at 19 years old. I don't even.
Oh, I've seen this picture.
Yeah, this don't even look like me.
No, it does look like you.
Me and Mikey had the same friends. We got in the same trouble together. Like, there was a point in my teen years where, like, I had problems with so many people that I wouldn't go to a party unless my brother Mikey was with me. Me and my brother Mikey brawled with like 15 guys one night, just the two of us, and we won. Like, you have no idea. My brother Mikey,
I've heard that story. You've told me that. Yeah.
He was so freaking tough, man. Like, I would go, if I wouldn't go to a party if he wasn't with me. If he was with me, I'd be like, let's go. We walked in and I was just like, I know if I'm getting hit, he's getting hit with me. Like, I just had no fear if he was with me. I was like, I don't care. If I got my brother with me, at least we're getting beat up together. Young Anthony listened to NSYNC, apparently. I was a wigger, dude. we probably had like DMX on in the background or something. Oh, those American flags in the trunk. All right, so wait, let me see if there's anything else we could do with this with this conversation before we go. And then you know what? Let's go to locals, because we got some stuff for locals. Actually,
We are going to go to locals.
Yeah, we'll do a half hour for our locals members. Like, they deserve it. Because you put that story, that New York Post story in, and I wanted to talk about that last week.
Yeah, that's
and this is about the father who let his child die in the car.
Yeah.
There's an aspect of that story that we have to talk about. And then also, there was another one. You sent a really touching letter from one of our fans. We could read that. We'll do that on locals.
If that person isn't on locals, maybe we should read that now.
All right, so let's read that now then, and then we'll go over to locals and we'll discuss the other things. So if you guys aren't locals members, that's where we kind of do more personal stuff, and we kind of let our hair down a little bit, but and it's usually the more fun part of the show. And every time we do a local show where we're like, we don't really have anything to talk about, we wind up leaving, and I get 1,000 messages of people just going, "Locals tonight was the best show I've ever seen." So, dear Anthony and Rob, I've been following you both on Twitter for a little while, and I just recently started listening to your shows. Thank you for the work that you're doing. You managed to address serious issues while still keeping the mood relatively light in a manner that is greatly edifying. I particularly appreciate your acknowledgement of the problems facing the younger generation. That said, these are incredibly dark times. I'm 27 and I'm married with 3 children. I'm not Catholic, but I believe Catholicism is true, and I'm praying about converting. I would appreciate your prayers, particularly for my wife, should you find the time. My wife and I currently rent rooms from my in-laws. We are blessed in that regard, but we have no idea how we'll ever be able to afford a home of our own for our family. We live in Rhode Island on the Massachusetts border, where my wife's family has been since their arrival in the Mayflower, and it looks like we'll likely have to leave all that heritage behind someday to make it financially elsewhere. This troubles me because in order for my parents to make it financially, my family had to leave our home and extended family in Wisconsin and move to Pennsylvania when I was 12. Consequently, I feel as if I belong nowhere, have no real home, and unless something changes drastically, my children will grow up with the same feeling of rootlessness. As you are fully aware, most of the young men in my generation feel stuck in the same hopeless situation. At least I was blessed enough to be able to get married. Last year, it looked like Mr. Trump was on track to try to turn things around in a real and lasting manner after winning the election, but the last few months have been one open betrayal after another, and now feels as if he is openly spitting in our face. When it comes to the issues we're facing, housing costs, unemployment, mass immigration, etc., the older generation in general, seem to view the young men of my generation as a bunch of losers who just need to get our act together. I won't deny that most of us are degenerate and extremely sorry excuses for men, but a lot of us do in fact see the cultural and moral decay around us, the results of our society turning its back on Christ, the failures of our fathers to be strong, faithful men, and we desperately want to change. Despite the terrible economic situation in the world today, I'm seeing more and more couples around my age choose to have bigger families, and they're not even Catholic, just devout Protestants. We are trying to work hard to support our families, and for our efforts, we are rewarded with roadblock from our government. Hatred from the immigrants who care nothing for us or our heritage, even as they reap enormous benefits from money taken from us. And worst of all, derision from our elders who should be supporting and mentoring us. As I previously stated, I am praying seriously about becoming Catholic, but the situation in the church seems to be just as bad as it is elsewhere. This does not deter me from converting. Far be it from me to criticize the hierarchy as a non-Catholic, but the bishops and cardinals appear to exist in some sort of fantasy world, impervious to the dire situation in the world today. Judging by their actions, they seem to actively want the destruction of our country, livelihoods, and heritage. I've heard statements from some of them about how migrants ought to be treated with dignity, which is true, but I have yet to hear from any of them about how mass immigration is currently destroying my generation's ability to provide for our families. They don't seem to care. In short, well, I don't know about in short, but the older generation seems to despise us. Our president has demonstrated that he does not care about us. I mean this sincerely when I ask, do the Catholic bishops hate us too? I apologize for this long, rambling, depressing email. I just don't know what to do anymore, and none of the men my age know what to do either. I'm going to be doing a lot of fasting and praying going forward. Our situation seems to be completely hopeless, and God himself is the only one who can change it now. Our society deserves to be destroyed for our wickedness, but maybe if we repent, he'll show mercy on us as he did towards the Hebrews when they gave themselves over to idolatry. Maybe not. Thank you again for all you do. I respect you both tremendously. Sincerely, Ethan.
First off, everyone pray for Ethan and his wife and their possible conversion.
And also just like when we get messages from young guys, man, it's like it just lights me up that like there's not much. There's not. It was Joe Enders was talking about it today, right? Just like the bishops, man, they're just in a different world. They don't have a clue what is going on in the hearts of
they've
their
never
own
needed to
flock.
For the most part, right? I mean, and not to mean this in like a bad way, because we should care for our priests, but priests and bishops, they provide for. I'm not saying they make a lot of money, but they get housing and health care, and they don't obviously get married, and they don't have to worry about kids. And I'm not. A lot of priests know the struggles that we all go through, and care about them.
Yeah,
but they cannot know them and feel them in the way that we do. It just isn't possible. Just like how I might acknowledge how difficult it is to be a priest, I will never know it in the same way a priest knows it.
Yeah, dude. The thing is, they just have completely abandoned young men. The church, like the church, has just completely abandoned young men. They don't care at all about them, and it's so dumb on their part because the world is evangelized by men. Christ chose 12 men to be the apostles for a reason, because if you don't win the hearts of men, you don't win the world. Like so much of what we're going through is because they've just let women take the lead in all of these things. Yeah. Every parish is run by women. They've just completely abandoned young men. You guys want to know why these young Catholic men are flocking to Nick Fuentes? Because he talks to them and he actually understands their problems. You're all wondering, oh my goodness, what are we going to do about this guy? This guy's actually talking about the crap they're facing. Well, you guys are off hobnobbing with your Appletinis
and not just talking about it. Whatever you think about him and some of his antics and whatnot, listen to him. Yeah. He sounds like he cares.
I've never seen
an act. I don't know, but
a turnaround on anything like
shut up. I definitely don't have. I definitely haven't been watching a lot of Instagram reviews lately.
When I tell you guys, like Rob used to be, because Rob's initial instinct on anything is I don't like it. Like it's
that is my default setting.
It's his default mode. I don't like it. I don't like it. But me and Jason would keep like sending over like funny clips and then and now all of a sudden Rob's like, hey, I've never seen this. And it's like Nick ranting about Catholicism and like
not ranting, the beauty of giving an impassioned speech about
Christ the King. And Rob's like, all right, maybe I judge this guy a little quickly. It's pretty funny. Now listen, he's got his crazy things he said, but he's like when I was in my 20s, if you guys have had a microphone in front of me in my 20s, oh my goodness, you have no idea.
If you had a microphone in front of you in your 20s, you definitely wouldn't have one in front of your face.
No, not even a chance. Not even a chance. I have one in front of me now when I worry about the things I say. So, and I really just don't think the older generation gets like the irony, the ironic humor of the younger generation, where I always thought that humor was kind of funny anyway. So like, I remember when we first started doing this show, even when we talked to Trent about it, like when we had Trent Horn, come on, we were talking to him and he was really worried about the irony poisoning. And I was like, I don't know. I kind of find this stuff pretty funny. Like, I don't know if I'm desensitized to it, but I think they're hilarious.
It wears on me a little in general. And like some of the intentional irreverence around certain things, like I said, wears on me a little, but I guess I understand that it's being used as a tool, really, right? To break down the.
And they did a pretty good job, man. They
They
broken down some crazy barriers that were up. But Ryan says, young men are starving for authenticity and truth. They spent most of their lives being lied to and condescendingly attacked for their existence. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, man. Because I remember like when the Zoomer humor first started coming around, I was like, these kids are funny, man. When they, like, even like the texting, the way they would like calling everybody king, and like the texting has even changed since then. But it was just kind of fun. And my kids were like beside themselves that I knew like Gen Z texting. They were like losing their minds. Yeah. Did somebody just say it's at 17.6?
17.6.
Oh my.
17.631, Ant.
All right, stop it at 18 though. I don't want any.
You can't stop it. You're the one in control.
Yeah, I'm gonna shut it down.
You can stop it at 18.
I'm gonna stop it at 18 because maybe I should let it go to 20 just for a car for him. Not for me, for him. Like because if we could get him a car. This kid, oh man, I can't tell you guys how he's going to react. I can't wait to tell him. Like, this is like, I'm more excited for this than I was for my kids on Christmas morning, because I know it's life-changing. It's not getting your kids their first snowboard or something. Like, this is
a good boiler literally lasts 20 years. Like, you're setting them up for
it's going to be like a video where they take the person away and they come back and redid their house or something. Like, that's the kind of reaction that he's going to have from it. So all right, let's jump over to locals. We'll do that New York Post story, because I have some things to say about that, especially for young men. Like, you guys really should hear what I have to say about this, because this father left his daughter in the car, and she was a toddler, and she died, and the father just took his life. And there's a reason he took his life, and it wasn't just because his daughter died. And I want to get into that. So all right, guys, thank you so much, man. This is a very long YouTube show. We usually only do an hour. I appreciate all of you guys for sticking around. This was a good show, I think, because sometimes you don't know like what you're going to talk about, and then some. Like I texted Rob before the show, and I said this is going to be a really good one tonight. Like, yeah, I just knew it was, and when you see an hour and 45 minutes go by and you're like, holy cow, I can't believe that much time went by. That's how you know you had a good one. So
remember the times when we would only have 13 minutes left to talk on locals?
Right.
Because of the 2-hour limit.
We had a 2-hour limit, man. We got a little longer than that. So, all right, we're going to go over the locals. We're going to do a short one there, probably like 20, 25 minutes, but I want to talk about that story.
Okay. I'm just going to cut us off because I will make this quicker. So,
yeah.
No.
See you guys on Tuesday.
Okay.